Yeah.
There we go. Right, hi guys. Welcome to the Tat Chat, our regular Tuesday hangout. I'm Nick, and I'm here with my good friends Zaheer. How are you, mate?
Hi, everybody. Yep, absolutely fine. Just enjoying the day.
Fantastic. You may have seen from the title, we have a bit of a theme. I was inspired by a post in the Tat Chat Facebook group, which, if you don't know, is a Facebook group which grew on the back of this hangout, really, this regular Tat Chat. It's just a social group where you can go and talk anything to do with reselling. And a chap, I'll share the post with you in a minute. And I wanted to use it. It was a fantastic post, and it really got my mind thinking. So I want to share that with you guys, and then we'll spin off from there about not everything has to be about the money. And I think there's, I'm going to ask the chat what they think, and we'll take it from there, really. So that's the plan. Just going to say a few hellos before we kick off. There's loads of chat going on, 89, 90 viewers already. So welcome, everyone. Just going to scroll back to the beginning. First in today was Ray. Hi, Ray.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they beat Peter in.
Yeah, I was about to say. I've got Heather at the top of mine, but I think that must be because I've opened it late.
Yeah, I had mine open right at the beginning. It was Ray and then Charlotte. Then we've got Bumcrack Picker in there. Oh, and then Peter's in. Welcome, Peter. Good to see you. Lots and lots of people. Andrea, Falling on a Bruise, is in. People trying to guess who my Thursday guest is. I don't think anyone.
Father Sunglasses, that's an epic username.
Oh, I can't see that one. Father Sun. Oh, yeah.
I think that's a really cool name.
Hi there, Kay. Hi, Karen. Claire and Leah Resell are in. Chelsea. Right, let me just try and get to the end. I don't know how many of you have seen the post I'm going to share, but I will screen share it in a sec. I spoke to the guy who posted it. I think it was Stephen. I can't remember his surname offhand. And he's fine with us sharing it on screen. So I'm going to do that now, and we'll use that as a kind of launching off point for a bit of a chat. So let me sort out screen share. Bear with.
I love how BCP manages to say hi to so many people.
I know, right?
Yeah, I think he's using that copy and paste like a pro. But yeah, that's fantastic.
Oh, hi there, Gary and Anne and Darren, Adam. God, be all day. Welcome, everybody. That would do. Right. Yeah. So I'm going to quickly try and screen share the post I'm talking about. If I can find the right one, I think it's this one. I hope it is. I'm going to check. I don't want to share something I shouldn't. Yeah, that looks right. I think it's that one. Okay.
Donna says, how's it going, guys? Watching with my 7-year-old daughter, Amy. Can we give her a shout out, please?
Absolutely. Who was that, Amy?
Amy, yeah. Donna's 7-year-old watching. Interesting viewing choice for a 7-year-old.
Yeah. Welcome, Amy.
Hope yeah, definitely. Learning the path of Tat early.
Right. I think I'll lock it on me for a sec. And then let me scroll through it. So we are in the Tat Chat here. If I just scroll up, if you're not a member, please come across. There should be a link below if you want to come and join in. It's just a social group for anyone who's into reselling, selling on eBay, thrifting in general. Actually, we hit quite a milestone. Over 2,000 members. Don't know if you can see down here, which blows my mind. Anyway, this was the post. Let me crack on. So it's from Steve Bentley. Thanks for letting me share this with everyone on YouTube. I'm just going to read through the post because I thought it was a fascinating little story. He says, here's one of my favorite sales lately. As you know, sometimes it's not about maximizing profits. Selling a Pacific Rim figure on eBay at £40, buy it now or best offer. And he got an offer of £20, right? Bear that in mind. So he goes on to say, the person that made the offer says, I've made an offer of £20 with £3 post, but if that's not enough, I can get another £4 on Friday. He said, sorry, I can accept 37. 27 is all I've got. It's the highest I can go. Sorry, thank you for your interest. All the best. Is 27 an all right offer? No, it's way below its value. As I see it, I'm sorry if that's too high for you. And they said, that's okay. And then at this point, Stephen says, it was a bit choked when I got this reply. I thought this guy really wants it, but just can't afford it. I was a kid once. I thought, let's find out a bit more. Give me a reason to sell it to them. So do you have a collection already? He asked. Says, yeah, I've got 3. And now I don't know what these figures are, to be honest. 3 Kaiju and 5 Jaegers. Do you know what these figures are?
Yeah. Pacific Rim was just like a crazy. It's got that actor that did the Sky thing. You know.
Oh, right. It's me. Don't know what it is.
Yeah, kaiju's were like monsters, like massive monsters, and Jaegers or something are like giant robots made to defend people
I'll show you the
against.
figures in a sec. I thought they looked like Transformers.
Yeah, they look kind of, but they're huge. Like they're.
So the conversation went on. He says, "Cool. Have you seen the second movie? Yes, it's amazing." And then Stephen has figured out. So he's a collector and a big fan. What else do you collect? They say RoboCop, Predator, and Aliens. Stephen goes on to say, all on display. I want to know if we're looking at a stuff in a box collector, a diorama fan, or on display on a shelf collector. Then, yeah, I have one Pacific Rim figure on my bedside table. It's Striker Eureka. So at this point, Stephen says he's a big fan. We talk a bit about RoboCop and Ed 209. I love Ed 209. Oh, love that first RoboCop film.
20 seconds to comply, right?
Yes. Oh, that's
I thought that was so brutal, though. I felt so sorry for the poor guy. You know, he just gets pushed. He just came to work that morning. He didn't expect that to happen.
No, it was quite brutal.
It was hilarious.
So Stephen goes on to say, then the idea strikes me, rather than just accept a low offer, let them show pride in their collection. I'll do your deal because you have a passion. Send me a pic of Striker high-fiving another Jaeger plus a bid of £20, which, remember, I think was half the original listing price, and we'll make it happen. And they say, okay, that's amazing. I'll do him high-fiving Tacit Ronin, my second favourite Jaeger. Stephen says, I'm looking forward to the pic. I won't sell to anyone else until you bid. Been great talking. Your passion made all the difference. All the best. So if I scroll down now, that's the picture that the buyer sent. So fantastic. Yeah. And yeah, so I messaged Stephen and asked if it was okay to share this, because I think it's great. We all get so cynical. Well, he goes on to say, the picture is awesome, fantastic. I was inspired with your passion. It was a pleasure chatting to you. Sold for £20 instead of 40. So if I just come out of screen share, like so. That really made my day. That it was such light relief from the usual cynical posts we get. We all have people really trying hard to get money off, and we always, we have all the excuses. We hear them every day why people should get money off.
Yeah,
they've had a bad week. Their dog's in the vets. My mum's in hospital.
All the excuses, definitely. But they come across as disingenuous, don't they? I think like people do have a sense, at least. You like to think that you've got a sense when someone's being honest with you, or when someone's trying to pull the wool over your eyes. And I think that's what irks people, is when they do get approached by buyers who come up with, I would prefer people just to ask for money off, and leave it at that. That bothers me less than when someone asks for money off and then gives me a reason that and I know it sounds horrible, and I know it could be true, and I've got no way of knowing, but I do have a gut, and everyone's got a gut feeling about stuff, and it just doesn't wash. Whereas I think with this, I think it was the fact that the guy was so straight to the point about it, and was like, okay, that it kind of
didn't press the issue. And then all credit to Stephen. He thought, I'm going to find out a bit here, find out what I'm dealing with. And then he went for it because he wanted to effectively do the guy the favor. And we have that option as business owners. We can bend the rules. We can do what we like.
Yeah.
And it was great that this wasn't about the money. Clearly,
no,
it's about helping somebody who has a passion for somebody get something a bit cheap.
Exactly.
And we do become cynical and jaded as resellers, thinking that everyone's on the make, everyone's trying to do us over, and it's not always the case. And
very rarely,
I just thought that was really worth share it.
And it's something that it just shows. I mean, it's obviously not something you're going to do all the time, but it's not a situation that's going to occur all the time either. So it's quite a nice thing to do. And I suppose if you believe in any kind of karma, it's nice to do a good deed like that. And it's a small thing. It's made that guy's day. But I think it's because it wasn't. Obviously Steve didn't feel. He didn't feel played, did he?
Oh, hang on,
I think
on me. I've just realised we've been hearing you chatting and it hasn't been switching.
that's right. But like, I think that's the key, isn't it? It's like that. It's he didn't feel that he was taken advantage of in any way or anything. He wasn't played. And it was up to Steve to decide to do that.
Yeah,
it wasn't preempted by the buyer.
Yeah.
The buyer, yeah.
I think Stephen went on to say that clearly we can't do that with every sale. It's a one-off, and it's
Yeah.
But as sellers and as business owners, we have a prerogative to make those decisions that aren't led by purely money, and not everything is about money. And I wanted to throw it out to the chat. Has anyone else had an experience where they have taken a low offer, or they've done a deal for somebody because of reasons beyond making money? I was chatting with Andrew earlier, and we couldn't think of a specific example that we could think of. I mean, we've given a lot of stuff to charity that we could have easily made money on just because it felt like the right thing to do many times.
Yeah.
But I couldn't think of an example.
Well, there's a cynical way of doing it as well, though, isn't there? So, for example, that's a really nice thing to have done, and it was a one-off situation. But on the other hand, there's a cynical way of doing it as well. So, in another situation, if say Steve now comes across, cynical is the wrong word, I think, here, because it's already sounding wrong in my head. Cynical is the wrong word, but there's another benefit or another good thing about this is that the next time Steve comes across like an aliens figure or a predator figure or a RoboCop figure, this guy may well, be someone that's happy to buy off of Steve again. And next time he may not need to ask for a discount, or he may not need to, try to get it cheaper. He may be happy to buy it at that price because he might be in a different situation personally, which means that it's not an issue anymore.
It's true. And that's kind of the karma effect, really. Sometimes you don't know what your good deeds are paying forward for yourself, and that's not why you do them. But sometimes you get so much more back if you're open and giving, as we've both found from YouTube. And that's a good analogy, actually. But yeah, I was going to throw it open to the chat. Let me know if you've had any experience like that, because I love that story, and I messaged Steve to say that thanks for sharing, because it really brightened my day. Donna says, I love hearing the story behind the sale. Absolutely. It was great that Stephen could share that. Adrian says, that's so nice of him. I think we have to sometimes give people the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, well, in this case, Stephen asked plenty of questions, and he wanted to be sure he was dealing with somebody who wanted that figure to cherish it and love it and put it on display. And I think that's fair enough, because the guy wanted it for half price, effectively.
Exactly. Claire says, I think you get a gut instinct when someone is genuine. I would like to think so. I mean, you can't be so certain about that, Claire, just because we do get things wrong. I'm sure there's been times where I've made like a decision to, for example, refund someone, and I've trusted them, where I may have been taken advantage of, and then on the other times I may have been too harsh on someone in terms of like declining a return request if, say, it was outside, because I wasn't believing of them or whatever. So it's one of those things,
because we all, if you're going to sell in any sort of numbers on eBay, eventually you will get scammed. You will get somebody who makes up a story, or does an item not received or item not as described, and it's total fabrication. And you kind of get a feeling when that's happened. And then unfortunately that kind of colors all your future decisions, doesn't it? And people all kind of get tarred with the same brush, and we do become cynical. And
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to highlight this story, because it's not always about the money. It's not always about the business element of it.
I think that leads on to like a wider discussion about this as well, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I
In
wanted
terms
to
of
do
reselling in general.
parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we move on to that, I just want to scroll back. Somebody, UK reseller Cheryl wanted a shout out. So hi there, Cheryl. Welcome to the show. I'm not sure if I've seen UK reseller Cheryl's name before. I don't know if you're new to the channel.
And guys, is the screen still switching? Because it's not switching for me. Is it switching for you?
Switching for me.
Okay, it's just not switching for me. It's
Oh,
weird,
that's
isn't
weird.
it? Yeah, normally it does. Yeah.
Yeah, normally it shows me
Yeah.
when I'm speaking.
Yeah, when it switches, yeah. But if it's switching for you, then it must be switching. Because it's not switching for me.
Let us know in the chat if it's
Yeah, let us know if it's yeah, it's switching, says Daz. It's switching.
Okay.
Yeah, Daz is on the money. But I think, like I said, it's nice to kind of expand this idea further, that that it's not all about the money. And I know the main reason we do this is to earn a living for ourselves, so that's great. That's why we do any kind of job, any kind of work, shall I say, whether that's employed, self-employed, or on eBay, Amazon, whatever. You do it to earn an income for yourself. But then you can extrapolate from that, like, what kind of lifestyle do you want to lead out of it? When is enough? When do you because I suppose, in a way, when you're working for someone, you do have a ceiling, to your to the amount you can earn, and that tends to be dependent on your abilities, or your qualifications, or your experience, right? So that if you get a job somewhere in an office, you'll know that doing that job can only earn so much money unless you change job to a different job. Whereas when you're working for yourself, you've got this kind of limitless option almost, that if you've put in a ton of work, you'll get a ton of result, and if you don't put in a ton of work, you won't get as much. But it's then down to you to decide, where do you want to put yourself on that scale, and if you reach that is success. I think it's important to add, it's not necessarily that you have to be posting six figures, or having a crazy amount of sales, or a crazy amount of turnover. It doesn't necessarily mean that. And I think that's quite an interesting thing to come out of this, because obviously, if Steve was like that, super hardcore, just going for it, full guns blazing, he could have been like, that's £20 off. He could have sold that for £40. Because logically, where do you take it to?
Yeah, I mean, it was essentially, he gave a stranger 20 quid is what happened.
Yeah.
But going back to that quickly, Heather says, the treasure pirate, that's so sweet, what a lovely guy. And yes, it isn't all about the money, the pound signs. There's a great feel-good factor about partnering someone up with what they love, and I think that's the whole point of that post, was that it was more, I don't know, a feel-good thing. I think he wanted to know the guy was genuinely a collector and he was going to love the item, and we have the prerogative to make those decisions if we want. And that quickly, Andrew also says, I always put extra bits in a doll's house, in the doll's house stuff that I made, and the buyers would send photos of my stuff in their houses and have a chat. So it's beyond just making money. That's about making people happy. But going back to what you were saying, it does lead on to why are we doing this in the first place, and do we sometimes lose track of that? Because I certainly didn't start this because I thought I was going to get rich. I got on this path because I knew what I didn't want to do, and this was a way out for me. And that was my starting point. This offered me, eBay specifically, offered me a way out of the rat race. And that is so common when you think about it. It's like, it's an easy path in, isn't it? eBay, you need very little, there's virtually no setup cost, and you're away, and you can just buy and sell, and it's, you can start straight away without investing lots of money.
I think that's so true. I think if I think back, if I think I can hear an echo, Nick. Is there something going on? Have you got like a it's gone now.
I haven't changed anything.
It's okay now. It's okay now. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I was just going to say, like, if I think back to my main reason, or my original goal when I started this, it was just to earn what I was earning in employment but for myself. That was it. And in a way, if I was still just working my regular job, I'd be getting my regular wage, and I'd be surviving like we're surviving now. And I think it's important to remember that sometimes, like, the only reason we've even got these, like, what are, to be honest, in a way nowadays, lofty goals almost, of one day being able to own our own house, or one day being able to, be like, really comfortable. Those aren't goals I could have even considered while we were just working, because we only ever earn enough money just about to pay the rent, pay the bills, and eat, and we've basically swapped that work for working for ourselves. But working for ourselves has now at least given us the hope that we can now go beyond that, and that's why we push ourselves more and more and more. But really, I've achieved what we set out to achieve, which was just to replace our income, working for someone else, working for ourselves. So I should just be like, yeah.
And all the other benefits. You're now in a beautiful part of the country. You're not living, in Croydon that was driving you nuts. And
exactly.
So it wasn't driven by money, and that's kind of the whole point of this. And certainly when I got on this path, it was, if anything, a financial crazy decision. What we did in just talking from my point of view, most people know my story. I'd rather take what people's stories from the chat. We'll go in the chat in a minute. But, I had a very well paid, well, not very well paid, but I was in the police. Andrea was at Amazon. We were super comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And if it was a money decision, then it was a really messed up one because it wasn't.
Well, that's the thing. I always think in a way, like, people in that situation that you've just described there with you and Andrea, that's actually a more difficult decision to take than it is when you haven't got much money. Because if you're earning a comfortable living, then you really do have to think about what you're doing. Like you said, like, are we really going to give up this? I've often said, if I was earning 100 grand a year in my job, would I have ever taken the decision to start reselling? I can't answer that. Probably not, if anything.
But if you were really unhappy and really miserable, and you could see that, you could identify that, I think you still would.
Possibly. But I think it was easier. I just think it was easier for me in a way, because I didn't have to make up as much money.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in numbers wise, if you've got less to lose, I suppose you don't have that to cloud.
Yeah, that's how my mind works. I'm just like, well, I wasn't earning that much. It's easier for me. Whereas if I was earning more, it would have been much harder, because I would have had to then replace that bigger wage.
Yeah, we looking back, I mean, it's a long time ago now, but I don't think we really even thought much about the money. We did some basic maths and thought, I reckon we can scrape by doing that. And that was it was weird. We left the jobs behind and never looked back. We never thought, oh, that was a bit rash. We just went for it. And so let us know in the chat if you've got any experiences, or just some thoughts in general about why you do this, and is it all about the money? I mean, for some people, maybe it is.
Well, Peter Ray's just said, I've given the benefit of the doubt on Spock when I sold a fold-up table for £35 and a car boot table for £15, and they were so pleased to have them. Okay, I gave the benefit of doubt to the platform, as it were, Peter. And Tap Peddler says, sadly, I'm very cynical now in reselling, both buying from boot sales, don't believe them when they say it works, and selling. Returns are 99% false for me, and item returned is fine.
It is hard not to become cynical, and we all do. We all become thick-skinned, and that was the whole point, really, of sharing that post, to start this discussion, just to shake our brains up a bit and think that we don't have to be cynical about everything. We can take things on a case-by-case basis. Stephen Steffer in. There was some chat earlier about our little Friday show that's coming up. Apparently the girls are going to whip our ass.
That's a bit of smack talk.
Yeah, we're in trouble, Steve. Okay. What has Matt said there? Matt Morris is in. Hi there, Matt. This has been my best year in reselling. Fantastic. But the pressure is now on to beat it. And I have added pressure to myself by booking Florida for the family next year. Well, yeah. You can apply as much pressure to yourself as you need to. And that kind of talks to the subject matter as well, because we're all on different paths on this, and we're at different points, and it's become less and less about the money for us in our situation. But as Matt's saying, Matt's at the point where he's still trying to grow and challenge himself, and if that's what you need, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Debbie says, in this community is so beautiful, it gives validation to the self-expression of our goals. Wow, that's a nice way of putting it.
Wow, yeah. Validation to the self-expression of our goals. Yeah, and just understanding that your goals are unique to you, and they should be tailored to you, and you shouldn't worry if your goals are different to somebody else's. You shouldn't be trying to keep up with other people necessarily, unless it's beneficial to you to get that inspiration.
But we've exactly, that's the thing, and we've often talked about that sometimes people say they get demoralized when they see other people's sales. But if you take this, attitude of, are you happy with what reselling or working for yourself has provided for you, then that won't happen. Because to be honest, someone could be sharing sales of £1 million a day, but if their expenses are £5 million a day, they're going to be worse off. They're not doing well. Yep. So it really does. It is so important to bear that in mind.
So add, if they are perhaps working their fingers to the bone and they're miserable, who cares how much you're earning? I couldn't give a damn how much someone's earning if they are unhappy and miserable and stressed.
Yeah.
I was just actually what Stephen Steph said there. Yes, Steve was that unhappy. We make far less and we're healthy and happy mentally. It's extremely satisfying to work for yourself, and the thrill of the risk is amazing. Yeah, if you can thrive on the risk factor as well. Steve Green's in as well. Hi there, Steve. Talking about goals. Mine is being happy. You could just end this show there. If your goal is to be happy, that's enough.
I mean, I really like that attitude as well. Seeing the risk as seeing it as a thrill rather than seeing it as a negative thing. A lot of people see the stress of the uncertainty, I suppose, of self-employment as a negative. But if you can see it as like, oh wow, I literally don't know how my next week is going to pan out. Isn't that exciting?
I think you have to discover for yourself where you are on the risk averse scale. And I think I enjoy the thrill of risk. I love playing poker, for example, and that speaks volumes, I think. But some people, that will be a really stressful thing. So you have to find that balance for yourself, I think, of how much risk is good for your stress level, perhaps. Because, yeah, it could make you unhappy taking endless risks. Connie is in. Hi, Connie. Says, for me, I'm saving to take my family on a vacation, finishing paying for my college. Fantastic. Indie chick, Nick, I did the same. Couldn't last another day in my lecturing job, and I became quite ill. The lifeline of reselling gave me hope that there was another way to live life. Massive salary drop. Yeah, that kind of echoes where Andrew and I were. And it wasn't a difficult decision for us. The financial thing had kind of become insignificant because we both knew we were stressed and unhappy, and the cost was too much to carry on. If you see what I mean, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was digging myself into another. I mean, I battled with depression. I've not been that open about it, but I had some really big struggles, and I could see myself going back there. And there was no paycheck that was worth me going back to where I was sort of 5-10 years before that. So getting out was my only option, really. Chris B, money is not the motivation for me. Can't live without it. Very true. But I just love what I do. There you go. Fantastic. Good for you.
I mean, it really, I think the freedom is the main thing. And I know that we could probably do better than we're doing now, simply by having a better work ethic. But in a way, I suppose that's what we love about this, that, the fact that we do have the freedom that we do have, that we can, like you said, you can just go out and, if you needed to go and help your dad the other day, you can just drop everything and do that. If we need to go for a walk, you can just do that. And, that does come at a cost. It's not cost free in a way, because that's technically working hours, I suppose, that you could be earning more money in. But the fact is that you don't, yeah, like you said, you've got the freedom to do that.
Well, you think about it, and right now, I mean, we did another uh 14, 15 mile walk yesterday. That was half the day gone.
Yeah,
Last Monday, we got together and spent the whole day walking in Birmingham. You know, if we had regular jobs, there's no way we could do that, and there's probably no way we could get enough training in to properly do this marathon. And that's so not about the money. That's actually about making money for somebody else. But we
yeah.
have the freedom to do that, and that's more about enjoying ourselves. And I don't know. It's a great example actually when you think about it. The amount of time, which time is money in this game, and we're
Exactly.
giving up so much of it. Yeah.
And Claire says, freedom is the payoff for the ups and downs of sales. So yeah, that I suppose that's a good way of looking at it. That you take that stress or that risk, as some people will see it, and in return you get freedom, which is time freedom, time rich.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like I'm time rich most of the time. I'm useless.
Doing too much stuff. Yeah.
Claire and Leah Resell say, I'm in a comfortable salary job, and Claire took a pay drop because she was unhappy. eBay Reselling is there to help prop up her salary so we can still live the way we did. Cool. Let me scroll down. Peter's in. He says, with me having Asperger's and anxiety, this reselling community has been so kind. I always feel I wanted to give something back to everyone with my videos on YouTube. Fantastic. Oh, sorry, this chat's just jumped.
Pixie Dust Gaming says, I'd rather be at home working and having time with my family and be happy than missing out my kids growing up and unhappy working for someone else. And that's actually a quite a common sentiment, isn't it? Like wanting to see your children grow, especially when your kids are young, not being able to see, not be able to see that. So,
yeah. Chris B, I think a lot of us resellers suffer with depression, and it's eased by this way of life. I think it is something that perhaps pushes people to want to opt out of the regular 9 to 5, which has its own stresses and pressures, which can exacerbate depression and anxiety and all of those things. And I think there is a theme. It's not the same for everybody, and people have different reasons for getting into this, but I think there is certainly an undercurrent of that people kind of take themselves out of society. It rings true for me, certainly. And doing my own thing gives me that freedom and that mental calm that I can handle, if that makes sense.
yeah, of course.
Oh, super chat's just come in. Hold on, let me find. It's David McMillan again. David, you are far too generous. David has super chatted £5. Great video, lads, as always. Thanks. Great people in the chat as well. Appreciate that, David. David has launched his channel. Did you know?
Oh, no.
Yeah. He did a live stream from a boot sale and a few other videos. Yeah. So go over and check that out, people, if you can.
Go over and sub to it. I will do. I would love to be able to do this for a living, says Billy Bryan, but I just don't think I'd be able to earn enough at it. Everybody is different. Yeah, I mean that's kind of a different question, or a different situation or topic, but I think that it comes down to, like you said, how much time you'd be willing to put into it, how happy you are in your existing job. I mean, maybe you're happier in your job than you think you might be, or because if you did put in like if you really did want to do this, then you probably could. So sometimes it's a case of really being honest with yourself. I think sometimes that really helps. Just generally, I think it can be quite important to be so honest with yourself, as honest as you can. We've got like a tendency to give ourselves breaks as people. Do you know what I mean? Like people do give themselves like an easy ride. Like, oh, I did a decent amount of work today. It wasn't too bad, was it? Or do you know what I mean? Like you could be like, oh, it wasn't terrible considering we did this. But sometimes if you're really honest with yourself, you can kind of get answers to those kinds of questions.
I know with a matter of fact that I could work twice as hard as I do. But it's not an issue. It shouldn't be. I sometimes beat myself up, but I shouldn't really. I mean, we're actually, I think I said to you, we're taking this week off to just try and catch up with other stuff. We're having a massive clear out. I took a car full of stuff to the dump today. We've got tons of stuff to go to charity. We went through Andrea's wardrobe. I think we're going to do a boot sale at the weekend selling just to clear a load, and then whatever's left will all go to cancer research. So yeah, we're taking a whole week off to try and just set the house straight. And it needs at least a week. Okay.
It's jumped. Debbie Mitchell says, if what you love loses its appeal, you might need to sit back and rethink if what you are doing is it bringing you joy? Are you comfortable? Are your bills paid? If so, more things will come. Karma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And Paul says, I've been selling on eBay since 2003 full-time. Wouldn't change it for the world. Loads of freedom. Yeah. I think freedom is such an important thing, massive thing.
It is. It's a word that keeps coming up when we have these sort of discussions, and it's just a mental thing. You know, there's no real financial value to freedom. It's mental freedom, isn't it? It's, I don't know. It gives you that inner pleasure of knowing that you're in control of your time, really.
And Lee's Finds has just put in a really good reason why he does reselling, because I can do my job in just my underwear. Lol. So, there you go.
If that's what floats your boat, who's to say you're wrong? Just do it.
And Stephen Steph say it's true. You've got to make sacrifices too. We drive old cars. We downsize to a smaller home. We cut cable. We do have Starbucks. Lol. See, yeah, that's the thing. It's not all just, it's not all just rosy and amazing. I mean, we still, every month, Beck and I, we have to work a certain amount to be able to just survive. We need to be earning more than we're earning, but we're happier doing that, working for ourselves, than still being in the same situation, because it's, being employed doesn't guarantee that you're going to be super comfortable unless your employment pays you enough to be comfortable. Let's not forget that, the figures out there that, like, something stupid like at least 30% of people in work are in receipt of some form of benefit, because even though they've got jobs, the jobs just are not paying people enough nowadays for them to, afford things like just their rent even. So, that's something to bear in mind. It's just whether you do it for yourself or whether you're going out and doing something you don't want to do for.
Yeah. And just reminding yourself what the payoff is every now and again. Just having a little chat like this to remind yourself, oh yeah, okay, this is why, and this is what I've got that perhaps I didn't have before. The freedom, the choices, the ability to say, no, we're going to sack off Monday and we're going to go and walk around a lake.
Exactly.
For 5 hours and make ourselves hurt.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
For fun, apparently. Oh dear. Are you doing a 20, by the way? Is that the plan? You're going to
That's the plan, yeah. Beck's got like a little ankle support thing now. So
yeah, the ankle.
Yeah. Well, it just played up again. It just out of the blue. Just, I don't know. So it should be okay. That's the plan. We'll see whether we can or not.
Oh, Krillin's in. Hey there, Krillin. How you doing? That's Rob. He says, Nick, Peter Hook is coming to town on Friday. Ah, Peter Hook of New Order fame. Actually, New Order and Joy Division fame. I was watching a documentary that was talking all about Joy Division. Never a band I was actually into, but it's a fascinating story. I assume you're going to see him then, Rob? Okay, let me just scroll through. Sib K, I don't know if you read this one, did you? I totally agree. It's hard, very hard, but it's a positive lifestyle change, which I'm willing to forego money for, especially so I can see my kids grow up. Money will come once I've sussed it all out. Yeah.
That's the attitude to have, really, and that's how we think, to be honest. It's
Yeah, it's good to like you said, it's not easy. It's not the easy option, and you do sacrifice stuff. Going back to what Steve and Steph said, you know, we sacrificed an awful lot in the early days, but we were happy. And looking back, it was one of the happiest times of our life. When Ellen was tiny, we were kind of just setting sail on this weird adventure that we started. We had no money, and we stayed in because we were skint and didn't go on holidays. But genuinely, it was one of the happiest times of our life, because money doesn't bring you happiness anyway.
no.
It's fascinating. It really is. But it's not easy, and that has to be said. Don't expect an easy ride. If you're sitting there watching this thinking, I'm going to do this, that'll be great. It might be, but also it'll be tough. There'll be days when you think you're insane.
Yeah, well, but it's what brings you that peace of mind. I mean, the one thing I will say is I don't get that dreaded feeling in the morning. You know, I don't dread waking up anymore. And you can't take that for granted at all. You just can't. And it's actually quite a nice reminder, like on a Tuesday, you know, like especially when Beck goes and she only does like 4 hours, but having to be somewhere for a set amount of time, it really does remind you of what it used to be like when, you know, you're preparing yourself to go into work, that kind of thing.
Anne has put a really interesting counterpoint to what we're saying. She says, I'm glad not everyone sees the value in giving up or reducing traditional work and reselling. We need those people, both as suppliers via the car boot sales and charity shops and auctions, to buy stuff. And it is true. Absolutely. And the thing is, this lifestyle will not suit perhaps the majority of people anyway. You know what I mean? And I think most people are and perhaps should be happy with a career. You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but it just didn't sit with me.
And not only are they suppliers, they're they're going to be the majority of the consumers out there, aren't they?
Yeah, the consumers.
When you become like a reseller and you're selling on eBay, and your whole thing is about knowing the value of something, it becomes increasingly hard to pay market price when you know what you can get things for.
You do become quite
so
tight.
You become less and less of a consumer. Yeah.
Matt again mentions kids, says real bonus for me is spending time with the kids, and allows me to to be involved with my local football club. I'm very happy at last, though very frustrated that other people, my in-laws, don't get it. Well, yeah, they'll come around eventually when they realize it's not just a fad for a couple of months. Do they say, when are you going to get a real job? Does that
Yeah. And Richard says it's great having a job that you can go to bed in the evening and wake up having been paid overnight whilst asleep. Yeah, I mean, that's always a great feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
By the way, Nick, you've had a super chat.
Oh, I just saw it pop up. Oh, wow. Michelle Pauly. Good Lord, that's far too generous. Just super chatted £20. There's a message there that says, love your YouTube channels. Love your honesty. I have learned so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure, Michelle.
Yeah,
just
totally.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
It's a great comment as well. I really do appreciate it.
Okay.
Just pop back up. Just keeping track of the chat is becoming more and more difficult.
It can be.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know where else we were going to take that, really. It was kind of a spur of the moment idea to share that. If you've just joined, we started off by sharing a post in the Tat Chat Facebook group, which you're welcome to join if you're not a member. There should be a link below, actually, of a chap who took a lowball offer of half the value of some figures because he chatted to the guy and realized that he was a genuine collector that just honestly couldn't afford the asking price. And after a chat, he took the offer because, as he said, it's not all about the money. It doesn't have to always be about the money.
But can I say another thing as well? Yeah. That is another example of freedom in a way, because the fact that he has complete control, complete like autonomy over his inventory and his margin levels, like, had you been working for a retailer and a super fan had come in and had scrimped and saved and just didn't have enough money, you wouldn't just be able to say, I tell you what, don't worry about it, I'll do it for that price. You'd have to at least speak to your department manager or your manager to see whether a discount could be arranged. So even if it was just a small discount, you'd have to do that. I remember really clearly back in the day, anytime there was a situation where you would have needed some kind of discount, you don't have control over that. It's all head office and certain amounts that they have available to play with, whereas with this you actually had complete control and were able to offer that really nice generous gesture straight away off the top, because you've got full control. And I think that's so powerful in itself.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It feeds back into those themes of freedom and control.
Yeah.
We are all able to make those decisions based on whatever we want to base them on. And just want to say, I think Peter was saying in the chat, has Nick caught the sun? I totally did. We went on 2 yard sale trails over the weekend when we had gorgeous weather, and I've kind of caught it just above my brows. I've just got a couple of brown patches.
Stephen Steph says, yeah, we never jump out and buy something anymore. We'll run into one eventually. Yeah. That's the problem. When you do this, you become less and less of a consumer. So
and
yes,
you also find if you go out and buy, I don't know, a new gadget for the kitchen, you can guarantee the next boot sale you'll go to, it'll be on the stall for like a quarter of the price.
And that's the thing, because you've got this spare time, you can afford to wait until something does turn up. Whereas if you don't have the time to go out hunting for at car boots because you're working all week or whatever, then you're happy to pay the premium price that to get hold of whatever you need. Whereas when you're obviously just working for yourself, you've got that time.
Yeah. Just reading in the chat again. Oh, I'm way behind.
It just jumped. Okay.
Sorry about the radio silence. We're catching up.
Chrissy says, I had a friend pity me for having to stay at home all day and say I must get bored. Then in the next sentence say, I wish I could stay at home all day. That's that's so typical in a way, that kind of comment, isn't it? That it's on. Well, the thing is, it can be that. That's why I suppose we've all kind of gathered in this community, because it can be really lonely being at home all day. And obviously you can go out and when you're out sourcing and just go out to have fun if you want as well. So you do have that freedom. But when you're working,
I think it's a lot of the reasons why the whole YouTube scene blew up so quick, and then the Facebook groups blew up so quick, because there was a need there for people that are stuck at home bouncing around with themselves or their partners. There was a need for a social aspect to it, and I think that's what initially the YouTube community started, and then the Facebook groups have expanded on. I was just reading what Aaliyah has said. Aaliyah H says, I remember when I was 9 or 10 and saved up £15 to buy a theme park on the PC. I was a few pennies short twice, and they weren't so generous behind the counter. Exactly. You're not going to get 15 pence off in Woolworths or Toys R Us.
Yeah.
RIP Toys R Us, by the way. They're finished now.
And Saz Guest says, yeah, I totally agree. I used to love working in retail, but not being in control of discounts, merchandising was the worst thing about it. Completely.
Yeah, no flexibility. But it did also mean you didn't get people coming in trying to haggle. I know as an independent retail owner, I've had several shops over the years, that because you're independent, people assume they can haggle, which you don't always want, on a brand new Call of Duty game. Because I'm a regular, can I get a 10 off? No. Ah, dear. Right. Darren's saying, smash the thumbs up if you're enjoying the chat. Yeah, if you do enjoy it, just let us know by giving us a thumbs up. We really appreciate that.
Definitely. Mr. Digg says, I feel that the reselling game is a whole new community. We all share our thoughts and talk to each other at times like we are family. Well, I mean, there's a shared interest, isn't there? And that's a great basis to build anything on. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Theme park was the one where you could put extra salt on the chips to make more drink sales, says Sib. Yes, that's true. That was theme park. You used to be able to add more salt to your chips
That's
and then
cheeky.
get people to buy fizzy drink. Yes.
Hillsman, question: is Nick's board game available yet? No, but funnily enough, that's my prototype board, and the pieces. I don't know if you. A lot of people who haven't followed me that long won't know about this. So these are the little prototype pieces I have made up. You put a dice in it. How sad is this? It becomes a little tank. And
Cool.
yeah, but I've been working on that. I'm going to start playtesting it again with my brother-in-law and see if I can take that further. I've kind of shelved the whole pub idea because it was stressing me out, because it was taking so much work and time, and I don't know. I'm not sure I can sacrifice that much time. I mean, going back to the whole freedom thing, it's still a juggling game of I do have to put X amount into this.
Yeah.
And it was, taking up so much time and energy to try and get the pub game started, that I'm not sure I'm going to pursue that right now. So my kind of payoff is that I'm going to give this board game another go.
Definitely. That's the thing. When it's like that. Was it like the poison chalice type thing, isn't it? Where it sounds great, you've got all the time in the world, but then that means you've got to suddenly learn this completely new skill of actually using all that time. To use it effectively. Because as we all know, you can fritter it away and so easily.
It wasn't even so much about the time. It was about headspace for me. I'm not very good at doing multiple things and being able to focus. And I was spending so much time on email and trying to speak to landlords and stressing about this and that. It was too much. So I've had to, for now at least, shelve that, I think, which was a really hard decision because it's something I really want to do. So the compromise is I'm going to get this out. I might share that board game with you guys again soon and get some feedback on that. Because I feel I almost have to have something else on the go to keep my brain active. But yeah, it was a step too far. I was letting things slip a bit time-wise. So yeah. Oh, I think Steve and Steph have had to go. If you haven't heard, we have arranged a live hangout with Steve and Steph. It'll be me and Andrea here and Steve and Steph over in California. We're going to be playing not a board game, just a game. And we're going to kind of do a regular show, which will rotate between the channels, where the hosts introduce a new game and we are competing, but we're competing boys versus girls. So yeah, can't wait. And that will be Friday. I'm thinking we're going to probably go after your shows are here on Friday.
Okay. The Busy Bee reseller, Adrian Connie says, do you find you get distracted with things that are really not important all the time?
Totally.
Yeah, that's like the day, pretty much. That's like
my life.
Yeah.
It is a constant battle because you think about it. If you've got a regular job, you have people literally looking over your shoulder, or you have, targets and tasks, and you can't suddenly watch YouTube for 15-20 minutes. Or if you do on a regular basis, you'll get found out and lose your job anyway.
Yeah.
So with the freedom comes responsibility to actually make it work. And a big part of that is managing your time. And it's not easy, guys. And no, at least not for us.
No. If any of you figured it out, let us know how. I'm open to all tips. That's it. Sibicus Snape the Third. God, Sib K says Matt Morris. When the internet was in its early days, like 1999, I tried to find out more about him, and I had a romantic idea that he programmed away in a cottage somewhere. Who are you talking about? Must be talking about like a programmer of some
is it
games.
the guy who made Theme Park? Maybe because
maybe it could be.
Thread about Theme Park. I don't know.
Oh, it's so confusing. Need to fill us in on that. Okay, no worries. And Graham says the reseller community is a jigsaw with each piece having specialist knowledge. As a whole, it's a thing of beauty. Everyone helping each other. That's a another really nicely described, nice description, really.
Steve Green says, I watch YouTube every 5 minutes, earphone pocket job. So I think you means at work, which is get away with it. See, why not?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, Sibk again. With freedom comes responsibility to list. Very true. You see, if you take your foot off the pedal for too long, funnily enough, sales dry up.
Isn't that Spider-Man, isn't it? Great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, it's one of the
I think it's Spider-Man.
things.
Pretty sure his grandpa tells him.
Oh, right.
Like,
Okay.
Peter, with great power comes great responsibility. Mr. Digg says, I think I spend more time watching reseller videos than I do normal TV. Is that sad? No, it's not sad at all. I'm the same. Watch barely any TV.
Yeah, it's just something we've got a vested interest in. I think once we all, find this community and become a part of it, no matter how big or small, I think, it does become part of your social life, and there's nothing wrong with having a social life, mate.
Pixie Dust Gaming says if he was working away, he wouldn't be able to deliver us 3 hours a fortnight every night. No, that's just bad. There's nothing good about it. That's just not a good thing to do. I'm just addicted.
Yeah,
I'm getting more and more tired every day. But I'm just
nothing more I like to do with my time in the evenings now than watch Zaheer chopping down trees and getting shot.
Not just me, it's Tom, it's all of you guys. It's
brilliant.
Do you find listing frustrating? You never get as much listed as you intend. Set yourself like achievable goals, because otherwise you will always feel that you could do more. We've actually been really productive this week, which is amazing. We've done really well so far, like in terms of listing, and we're getting into the habit of scheduling listings. So rather than just letting everything go live at once, we're just scheduling them. So we're going to have a bunch of listings, and then every day like 10 or so will go live, and we'll always have a backlog of items listed. So that way
what's the thinking behind that then? Is there some theory behind?
I think it's just, activity on the store in a way. People say that like eBay likes activity or whatever. And rather than make everything go live at once, scheduling it to go live at like 8 o'clock or whatever in the evening, or whenever you think might be a good busy time. And I mean, it's the same as it's listed, the item's listed, it's just it's scheduled to go live at a certain time. And I think, well, if eBay are offering that functionality, there may be some reason for it, otherwise why not?
Yeah, it's worth trying these things.
Yeah, which means every day we've got something new for sale. Well, when I say new, I just mean a new RC part. But
did you see Darren's comment there? With great power comes higher electric bills.
Yeah. In our spare time, we'll get
Graham for his comment as well. He says Andrea's video the other day was great. Don't know why she felt so anxious. She smashed it. I'll pass that on. Thank you for the positive comments on that. Actually, she does struggle with the confidence. I know she's great at making videos, but it's not easy sometimes to tell someone that, and for them to hear it. So thank you for the support. I will pass that on.
Yeah, it's not easy, is it, to put a video out on your own? It's just not.
Not at all. Johnny D has just made a comment slightly off topic, but I'll read it out. If anyone is looking to pick up stock at Toys R Us, the Mirror published a list of all the closing dates, only worth going in on the last few days. They were selling packing supplies at the Leeds store. So it might be worth finding out if your local is wrapping things up. I think the Stevenage one has gone now, from what I know. Last time I was in there was virtually nothing left anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, how are we doing on time? Oh, it's bang on 7 according to that. So I guess we will slowly wrap this up.
Yeah. Peter Cummins says, at the moment, I'm not listing more than 10 a day. Anything I do above that goes into drafts. Well, Peter, if you've got like your eBay store, you can actually set it to you can just schedule a listing in the bulk lister. So rather than it going into drafts, where it can potentially, after a certain amount of time, I believe the drafts just get deleted, don't they? Whereas if you actually schedule the start time, you won't have to worry about it, and it will just go into your scheduled section.
but you might have to be careful because I'm not sure if scheduling is free if you have a store. I don't know if you don't have a store of a certain size. Let me know in the chat if you know this. I think with a basic or no shop, there might be a fee involved with scheduling.
Yeah, we've got the middle store, so we get it for free.
Yeah, because I remember years ago scheduling there used to be a fee, and I never understood why. It seemed so greedy to me.
Yeah, I know what you
mean. Okay. Kick-Ass UK says I'm late again. Yeah, we're just about to wrap up. Sorry, but you can always watch it after the fact.
I have a van full of blokes giving me grief about filming myself this morning. Vlogging, says Steve.
It's not easy talking to a camera out in public at all. Even just with a bunch of friends. I mean, we find it awkward when we're together, don't we? If we're both trying to vlog, it feels weird. It's like
definitely
it's easier when you're on your own.
If you've got the middle store, it should be free. I've been doing it at no cost. I think. Right. I hope so.
Yeah, otherwise, Andrew said something similar the other day.
Yeah.
41 thumbs down. Oh, we got 41 thumbs down. I can't see from here. I'm not in a screen that tells me. Oh well. It's a bit odd if we have. What have we said? What have we done? Okay. Damn, 41. Oh, the thumbs down brigade are out in force. Welcome, guys.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for popping in. Oh, right. Well, on that bombshell, we'll wrap this one up. If you are around on Friday, well, I guess you'll be around if you're regulars to watch Zaheer and Beck. The link to their channel is below anyway.
Yeah.
We're going to try and do this like game show in essence with Steve and Steph. Can't wait for that. They just crack me up, those guys. So yeah, we'll wrap this one up. Thanks for joining me as ever, Zaheer.
Darren, I saw that comment. Maybe they've seen Z play Fortnite. No, that's cold.
It's all good.
Lonnie come in as well.
Right, was Lonnie coming at the end? Oh, it's a great show. All right, it's been in a while. The cool thing about thumbs down is it's all interaction on the video, so they're actually doing me a favor. So thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate the thumbs down. YouTube likes that. Right, we'll leave you there. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope you enjoyed it, and there was something of interest in there somewhere. We'll be back again next Tuesday. Zaheer will be back on Friday,
and then there'll be the game show. What's the title? Is there a title for it? Yeah.
No, we haven't come up with something. We'll have to think about that. I've no idea.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. So yeah. Until then, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Take care, guys.
Bye all.